Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Yesterday we took a look at the biggest surprise teams of this past 2020 college football season. Today we're going to do the exact opposite and take a look at the biggest disappointments of this 2020 season. Teams that maybe had some very lofty expectations, were getting a lot of hype going into 2020 and fell well short of their goals and disappointed greatly. Not just their fans, but everyone across the nation. And again, guys, these teams are up here ranked in no specific order. These are just the 6 teams and one conference we're going to talk about that we thought were very disappointing this year. No specific order, but who should be up here that isn't? Who's on here that shouldn't be? We want to hear from you guys. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below and tell us who you think were also some additional big-time disappointments from this college football season. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top right now with the Big Ten. I know the Big Ten is not a team. I honestly could probably make a full video about how disappointing the Big Ten as a whole was this season. Take a look at the numbers, guys, and take a look at some of the individual teams within the Big Ten. 6 of the 14 Big Ten teams finished above 500. So less than half of the conference had a record above 500. Obviously, Ohio State was a big one. They made the national championship. Whether you agree with it or not, they did annihilate Clemson in that semifinal game. Indiana played extremely well. They were on our biggest surprises of the season. Northwestern was a big surprise. Iowa came through. But you look at the other teams that were supposed to be really good this year, teams that could contend for a Big Ten title, were going to contend for potential New Year's Six bowl games, like Penn State. Penn State, who started the season off at number 8 in the country. Many thought they were the biggest threat to Ohio State in the East. The Buckeyes had to travel to Happy Valley, and Penn State started 0-5. They lost their first 5 games of the year. Yes, they did win their last 4 games. They finished the year at 4-5, but when you look at how bad and really first off, how exciting this season was going to be for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions, fresh off that Cotton Bowl victory in 2019, starting 0-5, it was not just disappointing, it was inexcusable. It was embarrassing. Many believe the Nittany Lions will bounce back in a big way in 2021, but right now we have to dwell on the past. We have to dwell on what we witnessed this season. Penn State struggling. Michigan, for some reason, retained Jim Harbaugh. Don't know why they did that, especially when Michigan has lofty expectations every year and he falls well short of them every year. Michigan opened the season with a dominating victory at Minnesota. Very impressive. Minnesota was expected to be a good team this year, won by 25. But then they lost 4 of their last 5 games. The only win in that stretch coming against Rutgers in triple overtime. So Michigan, again, I know COVID and everything going on, you can make up those excuses. Harbaugh's running out of excuses. Can't beat Ohio State. Luckily, they didn't play this year. Struggles against Penn State. Struggles against Michigan State. Fails to win the big games. Win is enough up in Ann Arbor. Michigan struggled. Wisconsin, they were the 14th ranked team in the country to start the year. They dominated their first 2 games against Michigan and Illinois, jumped to number 10, then lost 3 of their last 4 games before beating Wake Forest in their bowl game, the Mayo Bowl of all bowl games, to finish 4-3, right above 500. Minnesota, sky-high expectations with P.J. Fleck. Won 11 games in 2019. Many thought they would be major contenders for the West. They started 0-2, got annihilated by Michigan, lost in a heartbreaking fashion, a big upset to Maryland, finished the year at 3-4. Nebraska, 3-5. Only wins coming against Rutgers, Purdue, and Penn State. None of those are too much to brag about. So the Big Ten as a whole was just so disappointing, with the exception of a few teams here and there. And again, you could blame it on COVID. You could blame it on the fact they started late in October. But again, you've got teams in the Big Ten like Ohio State, Indiana, Northwestern, Iowa that bounced back and did extremely well. So I don't really use that as an excuse. I really won't use that as an excuse for anybody. The Big Ten just really did not live up to the hype as what many consider to be one of the best conferences in the country. So following the little Big Ten rant, again, I tell you, I could take a list of these teams and make a whole video about them. We didn't want to do that. But we should move on to the individual teams now. Take a look at Louisville. Louisville Cardinals out of the ACC. This was a team that had very sky-high expectations going in to 2020. They won their bowl game, dominating fashion in 2019. you come into this season with so much offensive production coming back. Their quarterback in Mikael Cunningham, Tutu Atwell, Javian Hawkins. This had the potential to be one of the best offenses in the country, certainly one of the best in the ACC, and the Cardinals laid an egg. They laid a big one. I think that was evident when they hosted Miami early in the year. Remember, the Cardinals were the 18th ranked team in the country. They were playing the 17th ranked Miami Hurricanes, and they fell at home 47-34 to Manny Diaz and his squad. And again, that score of 13 points doesn't sound like a lot, but that game was way worse than the score indicated. Louisville was outmatched and was unprepared for that game. And that showed that Scott Satterfield still had a way to go, I think. They still had a ways to go before they could really start contending for ACC titles and decent bowl berths. But that loss to Miami, guys, started a 4-game losing streak. After the 1-0 start, Louisville lost 6 of their 7 games and finished the year 4-7 overall. So they kind of got a couple good wins there towards the end, down the stretch. But in a year, again, where many thought 11 games on the schedule, they might be able to win 6, 7 of them. This was not a good year for Scott Satterfield. And, of course, adding the drama where he was possibly interviewing for the South Carolina job, that didn't help his case either. So 2021, a huge, huge year for Satterfield and Louisville. Sticking to the ACC, Virginia Tech. This was a team that I was back and forth on putting out there. Very disappointing year for them, but this is a team that at times did have excuses. Now, they were ravaged, guys. This team was ravaged by injuries and ravaged by COVID cases for the majority of the season. Like Michigan, it was surprising to see Virginia Tech retain Justin Fuente. He is, for a while now, not exceeded and has really failed to live up to the expectations that are in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech wants to contend at a national level. They're a very proud program. They expect to be in bowl games consistently and contend for ACC titles consistently. Fuente hasn't done that. This year was no exception. 5-6 for the Hokies. They started the year off at number 20 in the country. They lost that shootout to North Carolina 56-45. And after that, I think it was just a series of heartbreaking losses that really set the tone for the remainder of the year. I mean, you look, Virginia Tech was the 19th ranked team in the country, lost by 7 to Wake Forest in an upset. They lost to Liberty at home, heartbreaking fashion. They thought they had the game won off of the blocked kick. Thought they had the game won off the blocked kick, return for a touchdown. Timeout was called the last second. Liberty ended up booting it, winning 38-35. Lost by 1 to Miami, 25-24. So this is a Virginia Tech team that was a few plays away from easily being an 8-3 team. Easily being an 8-3 team. But plays just didn't go their way. COVID really ran rampant through Blacksburg. And maybe that's part of the reason Fuente was retained. They're giving him the benefit of the doubt. But 2021 is the year he has to break through and make up for such a disappointing 2020 campaign. UCF, next column here. 6-4. They have a winning record. No other team on this board up here has a winning record except for Central Florida. And there are many teams that would have killed to have a 60% winning percentage in 2020. With all things considered, teams would love that. But that's not good enough down in Orlando. 6-4 is not good enough because the expectations now within the Knights program is conference championship, New Year's Six bowl game, or bust. If you don't get that, it's a disappointment. And this year was a major one. You look at Central Florida, so much offensive talent for them. Dylan Gabriel, obviously the lead there. The mediocre defense and the discipline, the lack of discipline, was a major reason for their struggles this year. Another big thing was their blown leads. I mean, look at the numbers here. You blow an 18-point lead at home to Tulsa. The Knights blew a 21-point lead to Memphis, fell 50-49. They blew a 14-3 first quarter lead over Cincinnati, lost by 3 to the Bearcats, who ultimately won the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. They got blown out in the Boca Raton Bowl, 49-23 to BYU, were held to just 217 passing yards, had no answer for Zach Wilson and the Cougars. So all of those losses there, guys, except really I would say for the BYU game where they just got obliterated, could have been wins. And you add 3 extra wins to UCF's schedule there, and they're, 9-1? I mean, they're 9-1. I mean, you're looking at a potential conference championship berth, New Year's Six bowl berth, or certainly a better destination than the Boca Raton Bowl. So, again, by UCF standards, this was not good enough. This was a major disappointment. And for many, Josh Heupel is on thin ice, making 2021 such a big, big year down in Orlando, and it's not getting any easier with the American Athletic Conference continuously getting better. I mean, Cincinnati, great this year, going to be good again next year. Tulsa is kind of emerging. Memphis will be back. Teams like East Carolina, Tulane, Navy, Houston, SMU, those teams are still maybe not the elite level in the conference, but they're middle of the pack where they can beat you on any given Saturday. This is not a weak conference, and Central Florida doesn't want to find themselves slipping to the middle of the pack. They've got to find a way to remain up among the conference elites. Final two teams up here in the SEC, LSU, the reigning national champions from 2019. We knew they were going to take a step back. I think that was obvious. When you lose, 20-something starters from the national championship squad, including practically your entire offense and the biggest leaders on your defense, you're not going to go undefeated and have record-setting performances every week. That wasn't going to happen. We knew that. I don't think people expected LSU to go 5-5. They were 6th in the country to start the year, got blown out by Mississippi State in that opener in Death Valley, allowed KJ Costello in Mississippi State to rack up 623 passing yards. That's ridiculous. Blast from the past, too. Costello nowhere to be found by season's end in Starkville. LSU was 2-3 in November, including a blowout loss to Auburn, 48-11. Blowout loss to Alabama, 55-17. That does not happen in Baton Rouge. Those are some of the worst losses in their program history, guys. So that was shocking, and it was disappointing. Again, we knew they were going to take a step back, but not that much. LSU, though, they made up for it. They finished the year strong. They beat Florida in the Swamp, one of the biggest upsets of the season. And then you have, of course, the win over Matt Corral and Ole Miss, where they forced 5 interceptions off of the Rebels. So got to 500. Certainly good they avoided a losing record. And, of course, they imposed that comical bowl ban this year where most of the bowl games were canceled anyways, and it didn't really matter. So a year like this, I would have probably done that myself. So LSU 5-5, big bounce back year coming their way in 2021, though. Return a lot of key starters. Ed O on the hot seat for some. I think it's ridiculous. LSU will be just fine. Finally, Tennessee. Tennessee, you cheat. You cheat, and you still are garbage. I don't mean to be rough on the Volunteers, but that is the facts. Jeremy Pruitt now been fired down in Knoxville amid all the recruiting violations and the recruiting investigation going on in Knoxville. Philip Fulmer, the athletic director for Tennessee, resigning amid those allegations as well. So they're cheating down in Knoxville. They're doing some shady stuff, and they still finish 3-7. If that's not embarrassing, I don't know what is. This is a Tennessee team, guys, that every year gets so overhyped, gets so much attention, and has consistently been lackluster. They started the year at number 16 in the country, barely escaped South Carolina, beat them 31-27, started 2-0, rose as high as number 14, which I remember telling you was ridiculous, being a top 15 team. They got annihilated by Georgia, and that started a 6-game losing streak. A 6-game losing streak to Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. You're not SEC elite. And we knew that. We knew Tennessee was not there yet. They snapped that losing streak to Vanderbilt. Congrats, you beat Vanderbilt, the worst team in the conference. And they ended the year with a blowout loss to Texas A&M to finish 3-7. Tennessee's in a world of hurt right now. They have struggled to be relevant. They have struggled to be a force in the SEC for so long now, and it's not looking like that's going to change anytime soon as we await, really, what the NCAA does to this program. They're a proud program. They're rich in tradition. They should be able to contend at an elite level every single year, and yet they consistently fall short. And the question I will continue to ask myself is, when will that change for the Volunteers? So, guys, there you have it, your 2020 college football disappointments, your disappointing teams. Again, the Big Ten, we grouped a lot of teams in there. We grouped a lot of individual teams in there. So that's about 5 or 6 just solely from one conference, and then the rest up here. Again, share with us your thoughts. Who was a major disappointment this year? Who do you think should be up here that isn't? Who should be dropped from this board? Talk to us down in the comments. Talk to us about our surprise teams that we posted yesterday. A lot of things to look forward to for multiple conferences and multiple teams across the country as we head into a very lengthy but very, very important 2021 offseason. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And also, make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We've got so much exclusive college football news, content, and offers for you guys, whether it's on our website, thegridironexpert.com, whether it's on our Patreon account, our BetNow promo code and offers. Make sure to check it all out down in the description. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.